Some teachers across the country are now facing backlash for comments made on recent ICE raids as students have been staging walkouts and protest of the Trump administration immigration crackdown. We have senior correspondent Laura Engel here in New York today, as I said, looking into this story. So what's it all about, Laura?
Listen, politics on campus, nothing new. This has been going on for decades and for a very long time. But of course, things have been heating up and have grown increasingly tense with the latest round of student protests around these ICE operations in Minnesota. Now, in some cases, students as young as middle school are being encouraged by their teachers to take part in these walkouts. And we've been seeing these videos and images of middle and high school students across the country walking out of classrooms onto the streets outside of campus. And now some parents and teachers unions are not only questioning the students' actions, but also asking if it's right for their teachers to not only allow this to go on, but to encourage it as well. Take a look at a fly.
100% no. First of all, I don't think that teachers should be putting their political ideas into students. That is for them to decide. The teachers should be driving knowledge for systematic learning, like math, science, history. Do not put your political ideas into the students. Don't put your sexuality or gender ideas into the students. The school should be somewhere where you learn about the different. You can learn about the different parties. You can let them make their own decisions, but don't tell them what to do. Don't tell them what to think. Go over the stuff that needs to be in the schools. But let's keep going.
That is making waves online, issued by the National Education Association, the largest teachers union in the country, urging educators to wear blue to demand ICE stay away from our schools and to show solidarity. Now, we've talked to a couple of people today. One mom in New Jersey told us this morning that she thinks all of this is overstepping.
It's very important that the home and the school stay separate. And whatever parents want to introduce to their children when they feel appropriate, the parents know best. And these things should be coming from a parent. In whichever way you choose to raise your child, that's up to the parent. But it should never be the choice of a teacher or the school institution.
And I just got this video from California today. Take a look at the scene in Lincoln, California. It happened earlier this week. We spoke with some parents here, too, and there is equal frustration on the other side of the issue. One mom told us she wants to see her daughter standing up for what she believes in and doesn't mind that teachers are supporting that.
I feel like, yes, I can teach my children as much as I can teach my children, but they need to have other influences in their life who, again, can bring both sides of the perspective. But I need to know that there is a point person that has similar beliefs that are going to keep my children safe in the event they need to be with somebody.
Okay, so we've reached out to the NEA for comment. They haven't responded, but you see this growing and people stepping in saying, what is going on, speaking out. And in some cases, parents are pulling their kids from school.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. I mean, one of the things it shows is just how big a story this has become in many parts of the country. The protests themselves, we know Republicans have been critical in some cases of the protesters. What are you learning? What do we know?
You know, we have been learning that at least in one state, government leaders are just not happy about it. Just this week in the Lone Star State, in fact, the Texas Education Agency warned school districts that they could be taken over by the state if they help facilitate students walking out of class to attend these protests. And then you've got the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, taking to social media after two students in his state were arrested during protests for interfering with public duties. Abbott writing on X, it's about time students like this were arrested. Harming someone is a crime, even for students. Disruptive walkouts allowed by schools lead to just this kind of chaos. And Governor Abbott also said he's looking into stripping the funding of schools that abandoned their duty to teach kids the curriculum that is required by law.
All right, Laura.
Now, let me say something. One, I'm fine with it is the students' right to protest to be able to protest. That is everyone's right to be able to protest. But at the end of the day, they're in school. The school times, they can't just walk out of class. If they walk out of class, they have to be prepared for the punishment that comes from it. Just like if I decided to protest for some reason and I decide to skip work, my job is not going to be like, oh, okay, well, it's fine since you're going to protest. No, I'm going to be punished for that action. And I have to be willing to accept that action if I'm willing to protest. Just like students need to. If they want to protest and walk out of school, I mean, they're going to be punished for that action. It's as simple as that. At least that's my thinking. But let me know your thoughts. Let's keep going.
Laura, thank you. Laura Ingle, our senior correspondent here in New York today. She anchors the news for us on the weekends. You can catch.
Oh, well, that's it for that video. Let's go over to the next one where we hear more about what's happening in Texas.
After ordering an investigation into Austin ISD last week, Governor Greg Abbott has continued to criticize Central Texas school districts over their handling of student walkouts protesting ICE. On Tuesday morning, he posted in response to a story about 2 minors arrested in Kyle during a school walkout, citing it as another reason he's looking to strip funding from schools that allow students to walk out. This is despite Kyle police saying the arrests were unrelated to the walkout. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Sanders.
And I'm Daniel Marin. State Capitol reporter Adam Schwager is following the story.
Governor Greg Abbott taking to social media Tuesday morning to comment on the arrests of 2 minors at a walkout of Hayes CISD students Monday. Students were protesting immigrations and customs enforcement raids after the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minnesota. Quote, "It was about time students like this were arrested," Abbott said, continuing, quote, "Schools and staff who allow this behavior should be treated as co-conspirators and should not be immune for criminal behavior."
First of all, I am sick of Governor Abbott using Hayes CISD as a prop in his attacks on public schools.
Democrat Erin Zwiener represents most of Hayes County in the Texas State House. She feels the governor's statement is misleading.
My understanding is that incident was a student who had alcohol, something you're not allowed to have as a minor.
In a statement, Kyle police said the arrests were not related to the walkout. 17-year-old Ayan Moladina, the federal policy director for Students Engaged in Advancing Texas, says these protests are a constitutionally protected right.
Students have the fundamental right to walk out of class, to show their solidarity with their peers who are being kidnapped and detained, and to protest against the unlawful and immoral actions of the administration.
Yes, they 100% have the right to protest. But like I said, whatever punishments come from it, it comes from it. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you skip class, you get punished for it. You can't argue because you did it. You skipped class to protest. No matter why you did it, you still skip class.
On the other hand, parents have expressed concerns about their child's safety, with a conservative TikToker posting her frustrations.
What about my parental rights? Because they're minors. You know, when I drop them off at school, I expect them to be at school.
Zwiener says it would be easier for ISDs to navigate the situation if the political pressure was lowered.
Because I'm seeing school districts terrified to coordinate with student organizers and help them come up with a safe plan.
No one in the governor's office, the attorney general's office, or the Texas Education Agency responded to our request for comment. In Austin, I'm Adam Schwager.
Now, it's a wild situation no matter how you look at it. But the question is, should they be punished? I'm thinking, at the end of the day, like I said, if you skip in class, then you have to be, there are punishments to come from it. Should you be protesting? It's up to you. You should talk to your parents about protesting. You should talk to them about what you're thinking about. And just be careful. Protesting is not illegal. But skipping class is punishable offense. It's as simple as that. Let's go over to this next video, see if they tell us any more information.
ICE walkouts at schools across Central Florida. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Troy Campbell, and right now we're outside Orange County Public Schools. Now, district officials in several counties have released messages to students warning if they do protest ICE and participate in any of these walkouts during school hours, they could face disciplinary action. We spoke to the superintendent here, Maria Vasquez, who says it's important for parents and students to have conversations on the topic of ICE, but says if they walk out during class time, they could face disciplinary action.
Simple as that.
Yeah, Superintendent Vasquez says it's important for parents to have conversations with their children on the topic of ICE, but says if they walk out in protest during school time, they'll face consequences. What is your thoughts about students walking out during school hours to protest ICE?
I think that that's part of their First Amendment rights.
Brandon Morrell says he has 2 children who attend Orange County Public Schools. He says he received this message from OCPS, forwarded from the Florida Department of Education. warning of the consequences if students walk out and protest during school hours. And do you think some of these students should face consequences if they walk out during school?
It's a tricky subject because on one side they are breaking the rules, but on the other side, the cause is just.
Our staff knows what needs to happen. Our students understand that we maintain an orderly environment.
OCPS Superintendent Maria Vasquez says there haven't been any issues with walkout protests recently, but says staff is always prepared.
Anytime we are alerted that it's going to happen, and it has typically been a few days in advance.
In Lake County, school officials are also warning students after they say there was a group that walked out in an ICE protest Wednesday outside Leesburg High School. The school warned students who participated may face suspension. The district says it, quote, recognizes the students retain First Amendment rights, but adds leaving campus without authorization and refusing directives to return to class creates serious safety and supervision concerns and causes disruption of school operations. In Brevard County, social media posts show there are several ICE protests planned for Friday at 3 different high schools. Earlier this week, Brevard County School Board Chair Matt Susan reminded students of the consequences if they participate.
From some of the reports that are coming back and forth, it seems that a lot of the kids are seeing the fact that it's just become a bunch of adults fighting each other online.
And Superintendent Vasquez says they will continue to monitor for any possible upcoming walkouts. In the meantime, of course, we will.
It's at the end of the day, the students need to talk to their parents about this stuff. If you want to go out and protest, which is your right to do, talk to your parents about it. Hear their opinion. Let them talk to them about your opinions. And if they're, I wouldn't say it. Well, you should listen to your parents if they don't want you going out to protest, especially if you're a young child, middle school age and stuff like that. You should listen to them. But you're a high school, 18 years old, 17, 18, and you want to go out and protest. As long as you're doing safely, you're not trying to fight the police or anything like that, I'm perfectly fine with you protesting. But you cannot do it during school hours. Why? Because you will risk punishment or some kind of suspension. And you're just ruining, possibly, because if you walk out too many times, they're going to mark you absent. And too many absences makes you repeat the year. At least that's how it was when I was in school. But at the end of the day, they're making a choice. Is it a right choice? I don't know. But they have their rights to protest because it's the First Amendment right of freedom of speech. But they have to be prepared for the punishment. That's anything, no matter what it is, the freedom of speech, you are allowed to say what you want, but you have to be prepared for the consequences. You're allowed to say racist things, but you got to be prepared for the consequences. You're allowed to protest, but you got to be prepared for the consequences. As simple as that. It's as simple as that. But let me know your thoughts on this whole situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. How do you feel about it? Are you fine with your kid going out and protest? No matter what the reason they're protesting, are you fine with them going out and protesting? Would you be fine with them cutting school and leaving school? So the main thing is, I don't think that the teachers should not be encouraging them to walk out. That is completely not what teachers should be doing. The teacher is there to teach them the curriculum. Curriculum? You know what I'm trying to say. They're trying to teach them the history, the math, and all that good stuff. Don't bring your political views to your students. That is not your job. That is not why I bring my student to school, for you to teach them your political views or your ideology. Stick to what you need. Stick to what you're supposed to do. Tell them what can happen if they decide to protest. And leave it from there. But like I said, let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. The world is a crazy place, but we got to review the world together, y'all. We got to review the world together. Remember to hit that like button, y'all. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you can be up to date, because we talk about a lot of crazy things.